Welcome to the first episode of Vacation Trucker. And this is something that's been in the making for years and years and years. My wife and I, we've talked about it. Sometimes we're serious, sometimes we're not. So we decided to make the plunge. We don't know where this will go, but it's just for fun anyway. And so being that I sell fun, I'm in the RV industry, and that's what we do. We sell fun and we sell adventure. So this is just a spin-off from that. But in 2012, we were newly married, and we took our first big adventure. We decided to visit a congregation in Hamilton, Montana, and it was with my brother-in-law, and along the way, we decided to stop at the Badlands and Yellowstone. And we really didn't do much planning, but we just took off on this adventure. We saw the sights, visited the congregation, and it was wildly successful, and we were hooked. So ever since then, we've been taking these trips. And one of the reasons you say you heard Vacation Trucker. Well, the concept is, in the trucking industry, you cover a lot of miles, really fast, and you have your destinations. And that's what we do as a family. I wish I had more time, but in this world, the reality is we only have so much time off. And maybe I'll get to retirement, maybe I'll have all the time in the world one day. That seems like a far, far off reality right now because we're all on schedules. We all have school, we all have jobs. So when we take a trip, it has to be fast and furious. So thus the name Vacation Trucker. So we take off, cover a lot of miles, really fast. We have our destinations, and we get back home. And it's been successful. And I'm sure there's other ways that people travel, and would I like to spend a week in Yellowstone? Absolutely. But at that pace, I wouldn't get to see very much. So we like to hit as many parks as we can. Some parks I want to go back to. Some parks I really don't care to go back to. But nevertheless, we check them off. So as a family, we've grown. I have small children, so we start out pretty much driving through the parks, step out at some overlooks, maybe take a little trail. But now that my kids are older, my oldest is 11, now we're starting to hike. And it just makes it so much more fun and entertaining. So we just got back from a huge trip. We went to Texas, and we basically went to Guadalupe, shot up to White Sands, back to Big Bend, San Antonio, the Riverwalk, the Alamo, up to Waco, Texas, Magnolia, and it was an absolutely fantastic trip. Middle of December, temperature was perfect. We covered so much ground, great weather, and we had an absolute blast. So basically the concept of this channel is going to be obviously adventure as we travel as a family. I have a beautiful wife and 4 children, 3 boys and 1 girl. And so you can get a good feel for how you can travel. So there's really no excuses why you can't travel. I have 4. That's quite a few kids. And we've made this choice to sacrifice. And this is nothing new. Parents sacrifice all the time. Parents drag their kids all over the state for sports. That's fine. Parents work several jobs to provide for their children. Parents sacrifice all the time. And so we've just found that our sacrifice is not only in spending time with our children, working and providing for them, but we take these trips. And part of the sacrifice is, and thankfully I have a good helpmeet, but she helps me drive half the night. She'll pick up one shift and I'll pick up the other. So we basically sacrifice some sleep, big deal, to wake up in a national park and begin hiking, because we live in Ohio, and if we take off at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we can be to 75% of the country by the next morning if you're counting going west, because you're gaining 1, 2, and 3 hours. So you can cover a lot of ground if you're willing to travel at night, no traffic jams. So you can cover a lot of ground. So it's been very successful for us. So this is part of the concept for the channel. Also, obviously working in the RV industry, I'm going to do some demos, so some new product, and then we're going to do some tips, some experiments. I'm already working on one, and I already have a concept, and I think it's what I get asked in the RV industry quite a bit, so I want to try to answer that question. So it's kind of going to be basically threefold. We're going to be traveling, we're going to be documenting that, we're going to be demoing some new units, and then we're going to have some RV tips. And so I sell adventure. And the unfortunate part is when people come into my dealership, they're there to buy, and that's exciting, but all they see is a machine, and all they see is money down and payments and the cost. And obviously people have to factor in the cost. But unfortunately what I can't show them is what being out on the road is really like. For us, last December, taking a Class C down to the Everglades, Legoland. I mean, what an amazing way to travel. If you have children, to be able to have a bathroom, to be able to just, if they're sleeping, you know what, you have all this flexibility that you just don't have in a hotel room. So there's just so many beauties to the RV industry. And when somebody comes down and sits at my desk, we begin to have a conversation. And what are their goals? Are they new? They're wanting to upgrade? Where have they been? What do they want to do? And so that part of it is a fun exchange. And as you sit down at my desk, this is the first thing they're going to see. And this is a great conversation piece. And 29 national parks we've been to thus far, and we have a crazy, I don't even have to tell you what that is, you already know, the Alamo, Magnolia. And so we start off by talking adventure. So they see all the parks, and anytime you have common ground, it's powerful. And I love talking to people about where they've been, where they've traveled, because there's a lot of people that's been to far more places than I've been, so I pick their brain, learn some tips. And then on the other side, I have a digital frame at my desk that has all the running pictures of our adventures, food, astrophotography, family. And so it's just a real way to connect with people, and they get it. It's adventure. That's what we're all about. And so that's what we want to share with you. And you can see behind me, I'm in my favorite room of the house. It's the family room. This is where we gather. This is where we entertain. And this is where we have just a little snapshot of our adventures. And you know what? A picture frame represents so much. Adventure, fun, memories, family. And so just a little snapshot. I have a picture of our family with a comet, the Grand Tetons, Grand Canyon, Petrified Forest, Carlsbad Caverns, 100 pictures of the moon all combined into one, the Heart Nebula, Jupiter, the red spot with a planet transiting the face. So all this represents the most important people in my life, congregations, places we've been, family. And so this is what we're out to make, these picture frames. And so I hope you'll join us. It's going to be fun. And once again, as we go out onto the road, hopefully you'll learn something. Learn that travel is possible with 4 children. Are there some obstacles? Are there some challenges? Absolutely. But there's nothing like driving all through the night. Is it tough? Absolutely. But when you arrive at that destination, the kids wake up and you're at an adventure, and the adventure begins. And as your children get older, we know that life is very uncertain. Life can change so quickly. And so while we have our youth, while we have our health, we want to make the best of it. And we hope you'll join us along the way. And so once again, this is Motor Mike. Now there's a lot of Michaels out there, so I go by Motor Mike because I sell motorhomes. So Motor Mike, imploring you to join us on Vacation Trucker. Hopefully you'll join us for some adventure, learn some tips, see some new products, and hopefully it'll inspire you to hit the road and see the great sights in this country. Because you think about our country, if you're talking about history, then you're going to talk about Europe, and that's fine. If you're talking about natural sights, the United States is one of the best places in the world for natural sights. Think about the Grand Canyon. Just think about that. One of the greatest wonders in the world naturally is right in our backyard. You have the Grand Tetons. You have the subtropical with the Everglades. You have desert. You have Arizona. You have one of the deepest places in the world. You just have so many places to see out here. California, Utah, Mount Rainier, which is currently my favorite park, and there's a lot more to see. But the majesty of Mount Rainier is truly amazing. So there are just so many places to see in this country. Why not stay here, buy a motorhome, and start your adventure today? So hopefully you enjoy the channel, learn something from it. Thank you.